can hear the butter sizzling. So I'm melting butter and I'm going to add mushrooms. I just chopped the mushrooms. That's my face is, you can buy them, but chopped, blah, blah, blah. I don't need to talk about that. So it looks like I'll be making a roux. I'm gonna try the butter. Oh, look at you real close to me. Adding the mushrooms. Let's see. Yep. Ooh. One day I'll have more other equipment. Right now it's just an adventure. And after I saute the mushrooms for a little while, and I have to say, that melting butter smelled good. I remember a story that one of my older relatives, let's get some distance here. One of my older relatives told about a woman who said that, now this is my grandmother's generation, that when she hadn't been cooking, right before her husband came home from work, she'd melt some butter and put some onions in it, saute some, and then he thought she'd been cooking all day. I thought that was funny. But the thing is that yes, melting butter and then just put a few vegetables in it, that smells good. Okay, so melting the butter, and my arm's getting very tired from holding the camera. And then I'll be adding the flour and seasonings. And basically what I'm doing is making a roux. After that, the milk goes in, and the oyster liquor, that's what they call it. Oyster, oh thank goodness, I got to put that down. That was getting heavy. Oyster liquor, and that means the juice that the oysters are packed in. And I smelled it. I mean, yeah, just to see if it's fresh, but also, and it smells fantastic. I do love oysters. I have found that, so I grew up in Louisiana, and I learned how to make a gumbo when probably in my early 20s, late teens, and being able to make a roux is helpful for very many dishes. Okay, I'm going to go attend to my mushrooms, and I'll let you know how things are going. Okay, I've got the oyster liquor and the milk, and I'm stirring, and it's got to boil. I also went ahead and put in my seasonings. So the seasonings are in there. This is salt. I use kosher salt. A little bit of fresh nutmeg. It's funny, it's a container. There's nutmeg in there, but you don't know that. Some cayenne pepper. Didn't say to add pepper, cayenne pepper. Well, it says pepper, and I did put, again, it's a container, black pepper, but I also put a little cayenne pepper. And then the last thing, it says celery salt. So a lot of these recipes in Talk About Good have celery salt or garlic salt or onion salt and then salt. And that's just a little too much salt. I don't have celery salt, but I use celery seed, which I'm hoping will be fine. I do like the flavor. So I'm stirring, it's heating, it looks good. And I do have some rice. We had rice last night. So if it gets too liquidy, I mean, it is pretty darn liquidy, and it is supposed to go into a casserole and then baked with just a top with venting. So I might add the rice to it. It won't be dressing, but it'll have something to soak that up. If I were doing dressing, of course I'm thinking of like dress. Anyway, we'll see. I might add some little onion tops because I was going to say I would have added an onion. Okay, so far so good. Oh, let me show it. I'm just going to show it to you. Okay, here we go again. Adventure, moving, and getting very bad shots. But, so that's what it looks like so far. It's also very hot in here. Okay, I'm gonna turn it up a wee bit. That's that. It's still working. So far the oyster part is pretty easy. Or not as scary as I was thinking. So I put the oysters in, I turned the fire off, and I put the oysters in, and I'm gonna let the heat of the liquid cook the oysters because you kind of want them to be delicate. So this recipe says the oyster mushroom pie, it's called oyster mushroom pie. It says to, after cutting it, to put them into a baking dish and top with any preferred pastry. So it just has a top in this one, and I'm glad that it says any preferred pastry because I get to choose my pastry, and I'm going to, which is hot water crust from Paul Hollywood. Now, I've got a mushroom muffin pan. I got a muffin pan, and I am going to, that's what Paul Hollywood says to get. His recipe says to get a muffin tin. It also said to make the filling first. So I'm on track. I have made the oysters, and now the next thing is the hot water crust. So I'm gonna put my seasonings away, kind of clean up a little bit. I almost dropped something. Clean up a little bit, and then we'll continue. Okay, I am assembling gear right now. So I have my rolling pin with my guards, and I have 2 round cutters. And the recipe does call for certain sizes. I have 2 problems. First problem is it's in metric and mine are in US non-metric, or my brain is. And the other problem, and this is the bigger problem, the labels have come off. You can kind of see this one, but see and read are 2 different things. So I'm guessing at sizes. I have my cutters, I have my Silpat with flour. I usually roll out on a Silpat instead of just on the counter. I have all my things in bowls ready for the action to start. So I have the flour with the butter. The recipe says to rub in the butter, but I have issues with my hands, so I use a pastry cutter, and at the very end I did a little bit of rubbing, and then I could feel it already, and I was glad I chose a pastry cutter. I have my lard, except mine is not lard. I looked for vegetarian lard. I didn't think I'd be able to find it where I grocery shop. So I Googled it. Anyway, I'm using coconut oil. I don't know if coconut and oysters, but we'll find out. And so I'm getting ready to start. The way the recipe reads, I have to go fast. So everything is prepped and I'm pretty much ready to go. Here we are. The pies are made. My oven's preheating because I forgot that part. And I'm going to say it was interesting. The pastry was very elastic, and I don't feel like I had enough. I way underestimated how big of a circle I needed to fill a muffin cup. I ended up taking out the big Whopper one, and it still wasn't big enough. So anyway, I came out with 10. And they all have covers, and none of them look beautiful. I also put some rice at the bottom because it was very juicy. And some of the oysters were very big. So, but I learned I would be willing to do it again. And I'm still going to hope they're going to be yummy. So this is what they look like right now. I put an egg wash on them, and I'm hopeful, and I learned, and I am glad I did it. I'm not as scared now. I'm not as scared. I did it. Woo! Okay, all right. Uncomfortable is okay. The little pies out of the oven, they look pretty good. The pan, however, looks like a big mess because there was definitely leakage. Yep. They smell good. They're very hot, so I'm not even going to try to take them out yet. I'm fiddling, though. Let me show them to you. Okay, here we go again on a journey down to the counter. See, they would not approve on the Great British Bake Off. Too much leakage. But they're looking pretty good. I think I said that the reason meat pie is significant is because they're hearty. Like, pastry has a lot of fat in it. Meat, these are vegetables and oysters, but meat would have been packed in there, and also hearty. So it's something that really fills. I don't like the way that looks. Ooh, that's hot. That really fills a person up. So hearty meal. I'm kind of pleased. I'm glad I took the chance, took the risk. Yeah, I'll let y'all know how they are when I eat one. I'm back in my studio with my oyster meat pie, and it looks pretty good. Look, it's not perfect, but it looks pretty good, and it smells tasty, and I'm gonna try it. I am still nervous. I have a feeling everything is gonna oozle out. You know what, maybe I'll just forget the fork and just bite into it. That'll make it very hard to talk, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it. It's not oozling out. The rice seems to have worked. I'm gonna use my fork now because I got a big old mouthful of pastry. Which tastes pretty good, because I just remembered I didn't use lard. I used coconut oil, and that's working really well. That, you know, that tastes good, and it's holding it together. It made a good. All right, I'm gonna try to taste the. I can taste the oyster. It's really mild. I'm having an oyster meat pie party. And yummy. You know, the oyster goes well with the book because it's a sea thing, you know. So I'm going to chalk this up as I was brave. I did a couple of things I didn't know how to do that made me nervous, and I ended up with a tasty result. So yay, and I have enough to share.